If you're searching for a job, you don't need to search for another program this morning. We'll give you some tips coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Ashby Ward Welcome Center of the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce. Summer has begun and we're focused on jobs, and we're visiting with the Human Resources Manager for Site Tech Systems and an instructor at Coastal Carolina University, Jared Lazear. Good morning, Jared.
Thanks for having me on this morning.
Thanks so much for coming in. That feels
Absolutely.
like a baseball player's hand there. I saw on your bio there that you spent some time as a baseball player.
I did. Played it for about 14 years of my life.
Is that right?
Absolutely.
Wow. Do you still get out there and play a little bit? Or
every now and again,
help?
Get out and hit a little few. Go to the batting cages every now and again, kind of relive a little bit of the glory days.
Is that the glory days?
Oh, yes.
I love it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you were a big player then?
Oh, yeah. Played for quite some time. A utility player, pitch, catch, outfield, first, third, all over the place.
When you were growing up, did you ever think maybe that would be what you do? That
for a little while.
For a little while
there. Oh, yeah. But unfortunately, the opportunities just didn't kind of present themselves, and then got to college. It kind of became time for a choice to be made, either academics or athletics. Saw their athletic schedule and chose really kind of a time to make a hard decision. Which one was it going to be? Which one I feel is going to be the best opportunity moving forward? And I opted for the academics.
Golly, for teenagers or late teenagers, that's oftentimes such a difficult decision because you know that yearning there, or maybe breaking it big, single A, then double A, then triple A, and then who knows what after that. And then to be able to make a concerted decision there and decide on academics, that's a big deal.
It was a many struggle night process just going through. Do I think I can make it? How far do I think I can get? Which one do I really see the better opportunity as a future with? And after a couple of weeks of a lot of praying and decision making, went ahead and went for the education.
Listen to that. That's a big deal. Who advised you the most during that time? Can you think back? Was it a parent or was
Parents.
it really?
My mom and my dad. Yeah, had many conversations with them at night, and my dad especially just kind of going out and just tossing the ball around back and forth and kind of asking him his opinions on him and kind of giving him my take on things, and just having some great father-son bonding time and doing that. And
had he been a ball player as well?
He did. He played for a little while, growing up through high school, and for some. But
you've got a brother as well. Did he play?
He played as well.
Is that right?
Yes, he was actually much better than I was at it, without a doubt. But he decided to quit during the middle of high school and actually switched over to track and field. He started throwing shot put and discus for a while.
Really? So another big guy. Yeah, viewers probably can't take in that you're a big guy sitting there in the chair. But how exciting coming in on thanks again for getting in, and obviously jobs with the heat of the summer and summer kicking in, and part-time employment on the Strand really ramping up. But of course for our viewers in the PD and southeastern North Carolina, there's a job pursuits going on all year long.
Absolutely. Summertime is always, the beginning of the summer is always a very big time. You can't drive down the road 2 miles without seeing help wanted signs everywhere.
Right. So, are you originally from the area, Jared?
No, actually I'm from the northern panhandle of West Virginia, about 40 miles west of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Grew up on the Ohio River most of my life. Of course, transferred down to Marshall and Huntington, so I grew up on the northern part of the river and then moved down to the southern part of the river. So I spent a good 18 years there, and then of course moved to Huntington, like I said, and went to Marshall for about 7 years, getting my education, and then came to the beach in 2002.
7 years means you either were on a long-term plan or you did a little work postgraduate. You did some graduate work.
Yeah, spent 4 years for undergraduate and then another couple of years for my master's degree, and stuck around, actually taught 2 years at Marshall.
Is that right? Wow. What was that like teaching after having been a student there at the same school for 6+ years?
Sure. The transition is a very unique experience, going from behind one of the smaller desks up front looking at 40 or 50 people looking at you, and kind of hanging on what you're saying. It's a very unique transition, but it's one of the most rewarding experiences I think I've ever gone through.
Really?
Seeing somebody for the very first time who, a freshman coming in, they think they have a great grasp on the world and what everything's about. and being able to see something that they thought they knew from a different angle. You can see their world just expand just that much more, and the world opens up to them. It's just an amazing feeling just to be able to see that progress.
That must be I mean, when we think about college students as they start, they're 18, 19, possibly even a little younger, sometimes 17 or even a little older, to be able to see that, as you say, where they think they've got it all together, and to have that change of mind, it must be amazing.
It really is. It's probably the most rewarding points of being a teacher.
Right. And you're still getting that now at Coastal Carolina University, the same kind of feel from students? Yeah.
Absolutely. I have an intro class in the fall, which I'll have predominantly freshmen and sophomore. And in the spring, I teach introductory to industrial and organizational psychology, which is my background.
Right.
And I have mostly two juniors. So they're very two unique, dynamic groups. But you get a lot of benefit out of each one. The younger group, you get to see that new world kind of exploding open. And with the older students, you get to see some of their experiences and kind of get them prepared for the next step they're about to take.
Industrial and organizational psychology. Those are both pretty big words. All three of them are big words. Probably a lot of folks on a Wednesday morning, early in the morning, couldn't even try to spell any of those three. What is industrial and organizational psychology?
Mainly what you're dealing with is the person in the workplace. When you start thinking about how much time you really spend at work and how much of your day, you figure there's 24 hours in any given day.
Right.
8 hours normally spent sleeping. It's supposed to be 8 hours at work, and then of course 8 hours for play or doing whatever it is you need to do with the remainder of your day.
Yeah.
You figure a third of your day is spent at the office or with people and either trying to get the most efficient work you can out of those productive 8 hours.
Right.
So you're dealing with things such as leadership, performance appraisal, job analysis, really trying to get organizational structure, organizational culture, trying to really make the most out of that 8 hours as best you can to give somebody a good life satisfaction because they do spend so much time with their work families.
Sure. Golly, well, that is critical then.
It is.
So when folks take that class, do they know what they're getting into?
Some have an idea, most don't.
Really?
Yeah. Some of the wonderful topics that, like I said, we're able to get into, especially when we get into the topics of selection, employment selection, and recruiting, and getting into some of the more leadership and management type situations. They think they have a good idea of what that is, but when you really start peeling it back and seeing what the many processes are to go into it, to really kind of do it right, it really becomes a very complex dance, if you will. So they really do seem to get some good enjoyment out of it.
When you think back to your first day of teaching after you'd wrapped up your master's there at Marshall, and then you fast forward to the present, Jared, do you still get that same feeling in the classroom? Maybe a little bit of nervousness there, or something?
Sure. Sure. In the first couple of days, usually the first time you walk in, when you're just meeting your class for the very first time, it is a little nervous because just with any situation, you're not sure what to expect.
Right.
But usually within the first 10 to 15 minutes, you're off and running. The class is responding well to you, and you're on your way.
So oftentimes, I know when they talk to folks about public speaking, they try to get through that idea of everyone in the crowd is just happy they're not up there having to address the crowd.
Yes.
I'm sure in the same way there's probably a little bit of that in the classroom. They're thinking, oh my God, this guy must really know his stuff. We better listen to what he's saying. Or I'm taking a nap. Or I'm sure that never happens. Yeah, I'm sure that never happens. When we think about jobs, of course we hear that word. We probably say it because it's easy to say, it's short to say. But there's another big word, career, oftentimes coming into play. What's the big difference, or is there a difference between job and career?
Sure. The main difference between the two is really movement. A job is really a set of tasks performed at any given time. Now, when you start taking that into a movement type situation, being able to take on additional knowledge, additional skills, additional abilities, you're able to start moving up into higher echelons of responsibility with an organization. So you start moving within the same discipline in what you start with. Whereas a job, you're pretty much just stopped and you stay in just that one particular area.
Right.
Whereas a career, you start moving up to higher levels of responsibility.
Okay, good. How about things that a job candidate should consider? Are there certain things that a job candidate should consider before beginning to fill out an application for a job, whether it's at site check systems or just in the normal workplace?
Absolutely. Probably one of the biggest things that people need to realize is that they think they're going for their first job or they're going for a job, and that's kind of the end result. What they don't realize is the job hunting process is your first job. It really is. You take on 4 jobs when you start looking for employment.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely. The first one you get into is research. You become a researcher. And this is really where you need to do the most of your work. You need to be able to go out there and really get into and learn about the company that you're potentially applying for. As we said, 8 to 10 hours of your day is potentially going to be spent at this particular place of employment. So it better be something that you really do enjoy. You're able to get a lot of life satisfaction out of it. If you don't do a lot of research on a company, really what you found is the job you're probably going to leave in 2 to 3 years. So you really need to be able to go in and really understand what the company's mission is, what their purpose in the community is, what they're really serving the community with. Because that's something that you really believe in and you can add to. The second aspect is becoming an analyst. You not only have to start analyzing the position, and they're called KSAs, knowledge, skills, and abilities. What are these 3 things that really you have to have in order to be able to be successful in this position? And not only do you have to do it for the job itself or the position that's being offered and figuring out what is it going to take for somebody to be successful in this position, but you also have to start analyzing yourself. What are my own strengths? What are my own weaknesses? What am I good at? What am I not good at? What do I like? What do I not like? And those are all okay. The third part is you have to start becoming a marketer.
You have to start becoming a marketer.
Yes, you have to start putting your package together because you're selling yourself. You're selling your skills. You're selling your services.
Right.
So you really have to become almost an entrepreneur because you have to start putting together a package to present to the world, saying, hey, this is me, this is what I'm good at, this is what I can serve you with.
Right.
So, and then once you finally get and that's usually your resumes and starting to get some networking done, then the third part is the one that scares everybody the most, and that's you have to become the sales agent.
Ooh.
You now have to go out and actually start marketing and start selling your skills and your abilities, your services to people. You really do. I mean, there's countless examples of people who have extremely high educations, but they have, they're very challenged when it comes to the people side of things and talking with people and being able to kind of sell themselves. And they find it very difficult in the job market because they are having a very difficult time kind of portraying what it is they'd be able to bring to that position. So the sales agent side is a very important part, very important part of it. But one of the most important things for people to realize, because most everybody says, I'm terrible at sales, or I'm great at sales. It's one or the other. There's very few in between. The people who feel that they're not very good at it, you have to keep in mind is they are the most knowledgeable source, or they have the most knowledge about the product that they're selling.
Right.
I mean, I know the most about you, and I know the most about myself, so you really are the best person to talk about your product and service because you know more about it than anybody.
That's a great point. Do you find that folks who do have that ability, who have that difficulty of trying to sell themselves, that they either have something pent up, that they could be a tremendous resource in the workplace? I mean, you must find that often, that folks just don't have the ability to sell themselves. Someone thinks, my God, I could never do that, or I wouldn't be good at that, even though they may be good as heck at that.
It's a little bit more of a challenge, and sometimes you kind of have to try to bring them out of their shell, and it really kind of turns on to the recruiter's side and their responsibility to try to really dig in there and try to get some of the information out of this person, because you do realize that an interview process is a very nerve-wracking thing for the job candidate sitting across the way.
Right.
They're nervous to begin with, so one of your responsibilities are trying to make them much more comfortable so that they can present the best side of themselves, so you really can get to know them.
Where do you, when you're doing hiring there at SiteTech, not to put you on the spot, but do you try to get in a comfortable setting, maybe outside of your office? Do you try to go to a nondescript area, or maybe as an office, a comfortable setting in your own office? What are some of the things that you do yourself to make sure to try to get that person to relax? Because as you said, it must be a very disturbing or uncomfortable position if someone's trying to project and sell themselves.
It is. A lot of it really depends on the position that you're going for. If it's a non-public type position or a non-high level of stress type position, in that case you can try to relax the mode a little bit more. But if this person's going to be dealing with a high pressure, high intensity type of position, you want to kind of increase that to see how they're going to react to it. So in many of the cases, a lot of it's just starting off with, kind of rapport building conversation with somebody, trying to put them at ease and letting them know, it's okay, we're just going to sit here and talk a little bit about some things, and we'll kind of move into a little bit more of a structured format later on. So you really try to want to encourage them to just relax and let them even know sometimes, hey, you know the most about the topic we're about to discuss, so you have the advantage in this conversation, I don't. So a lot of times that'll really kind of help them to open up a little bit more.
That would.